This week on NBA G League Takeover, Bronny goes for 31 and a poster. Is the son of King James ready to ascend? And speaking of dunking, two guys with G League ties will throw it down during All-Star Weekend. And later, one of them joins the show. Plus, a coach with a specialized handshake for each and every player. A special G of the Week. All that and more coming up right now on NBA G League Takeover.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
Hello and welcome to NBA G League Takeover here at the Den at Fox 5 Studios. I'm Mike Davis with my teammate here, Gianna Hearn, G League Insider. Gianna, a lot of great stuff to break down today on the show, but we got to start with something that was, this was all over social media. King James's son, Bronny James with the South Bay Lakers, he threw the hammer down. 31 points, great show and display he had in this game, but it's the dunk. This explosive poster that everybody's talking about, G. What were your initial take-home thoughts when you saw that poster?
Well, I thought, okay, he has arrived. This is the time when people need to start recognizing that Bronny James is here to stay, and it's not a fluke. He's had two 30-point games in the G League so far, and he's really found, I think, his footing. Now, Nate Burleson commented on the Instagram for the NBA G League. Let me read this. He said, "Why are the talking heads not as loud as their praise as they are with their criticism?" Ooh. Exactly. Where's the praise for Bronny James? He's really elevated his game since the beginning of the G League season.
It really seems like he's ascending. This was a game that he displayed some great poise, obviously that explosion, but he had 25 points in the second half of this game, which is kind of very telling. So he's starting to ascend. It really does feel like the chatter was a little bit more negative, and now he's starting to rise above this negativity. What have you seen in his game? What do you think's going right, and why does it feel different now?
I said this at the beginning of the season talking with you about the Bronny topic. I said, give him some time. Like, everyone was judging him off his first game, his second game. And this is a young man who went through some health conditions, didn't play for a large segment of time, and then all of a sudden played organized basketball as a professional. Yeah. And I said, give him a few games. Let his feet get wet, guys. And this is exactly what we're seeing. He just needed the time, experience, the reps, which is what the G League is for. Reps, opportunity, and conditioning. And I think that's why we're seeing him blossom at this point. He blocked out all the noise and just played basketball.
Yeah, I think people are starting to see this is a guy who's a 55th overall pick in the second round. This is a guy, I think a lot of haters were in the building before, and I think now that narrative is starting to shift a little bit. I think people want to see him succeed, and we're hopeful that he will. But speaking of dunks, because that was a poster, was a beautiful thing to see in that game against the Rip City Remix, we got to talk about the dunk contest coming up shortly with All-Star Weekend. There's two guys, maybe even three, with G League ties. First of all, we got our dude, Matas Buzelis, former G League Ignite guy here in Henderson, Nevada. He's going to be showing out for the Chicago Bulls, as well as Mac McClung. We all know him with the Osceola Magic. This is a guy who's a two-time reigning dunk contest champion. He's going for a three-peat, Gianna.
Never been done.
Never been done. It's historic. Do you think Mac makes this happen?
I definitely think Mac makes this happen, but I do have questions. What are you going to do, Mac? You've done it twice now. What do you have in the bag left to go? I don't know. I was talking about this all day yesterday. Can he come up with new and original things? I think he can, because I've watched him time in and time out again do this off the court. He's been doing this before he was even in the G League, before as a professional. He's been a dunk sensation forever. So if anyone's going to three-peat, I think he can do it. But obviously there's some other guys this time that are coming to play, and they're very young. Very athletic guys.
Yeah, let's mention these other guys. So we got Stephon Castle with the Spurs, of course, with UConn. He had all that success there. He's a rookie. And then we also have Andre Jackson Jr. with the Bucks. My feelings before we move on from this is just the modest stuff. This is a dude who loves the spotlight. I mean, this is a guy who shines on the center stage. He's got a sneaky, cool personality. He's very cool, but he's got a little bit of flash. I mean, he modeled for GQ, right? Like, this guy likes the spotlight. He's going to enjoy the glitz and the glamour of All-Star Weekend's biggest night, which is the NBA dunk contest. So that's who I'm rooting for. I'm saying Mac is going to show out, but Matas is going to be the guy who ends up taking home the dunk contest trophy. That's my prediction.
I will be highly interested to see what Matas brings. We know that he likes the spotlight, but can he bring some hammer throwdowns?
We've seen during the season. He's
yes.
lanky, he's long, he gets on a fast break. I mean, it's a different build. You got Mac, who's like fun size, and then you got this lean, lanky, long dude and Matas. I mean, it's two separate kind of bodies and builds.
Yes, and I'm still going for Mac McClung just because I think he deserves us to say that he's the front runner. But Andre Jackson Jr., he may be the most athletic out of the entire group of guys that we have this year. So I think it'll be interesting. I'm tuning in for sure.
Yeah, it's must-see television every single year. But let's move on to the Rising Stars game, another wrinkle to All-Star Weekend that everybody's going to be talking about. We got to break down, G, the fact that, All-Star Weekends, continuously changing. It might not be the All-Star Weekend that we're accustomed to as young kids, as we remember. But this year in the Rising Stars game, they're doing kind of what they did last year, where there's going to be first and second year NBA guys facing off against some G League players. So, G, give us the breakdown of some of these guys who are participating in this game.
Yeah, so recently released J.D. Davison. Knew that was coming, though. No shocker there. Mac McClung. We're going to see him a couple times at All-Star. Bryce McGowan's, Leonard Miller, Dink Pate, and Reed Shepherd, and Pat Spencer.
Wow.
This is like the all-star of all-stars for the G League. It makes sense why they comprise a team the way they did. I'm excited that Pat Spencer is going to be there. He's going to show out in the city where All-Star is going to be held. But J.D. Davison, Bryce McGowan's were the two guys that I said could be the MVP of this NBA G League season. So this is going to be a very dominant, I think, and competitive. We're calling it a G League team, but team that's going to be playing Rising Stars, and I think they could show up on Sunday.
It's pretty cool. They got a lot of, popular guys who also, have made, a slight imprint from a draft standpoint with the NBA. You got Reed Shepherd, who's the number 3 overall pick, so that's pretty cool. Dink Pate is a guy who might be a lottery pick next year. So it's cool to have some of these guys in the fold that really are, the faces of the G League, but also could be playing up at the association level for the majority of their career. So it's still young careers for these guys. But the one thing to mention, though, there is an element here where some of these guys might actually, the winners, will be able to play in all-star competition, G.
I can't actually believe it, and I hope this is how it plays out because I think it needs to. This is the type of storylines that grab attention from fans, and I think it will really help All-Star out once they see what the G League has to offer. And, hey, these guys, they can play in the NBA. I'm not worried.
It's pretty cool. We all remember used to just be traditionally East versus West, or there was times where it was KD's team versus LeBron's team. This year for All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend, they're having 4 different squads. Chuck, Kenny, Shaq, and as well as Candace Parker are going to be GM coaches for some of these teams, and some of these G League guys will be able to potentially be a part of that All-Star game. Real quickly, G, before we wrap up this block, let's talk about a 27-year-old man from Oregon State, 7-footer. He's been bouncing around the G League for a long time, 4 years, and he finally got his first call up to the NBA with the Mavericks. The Mavericks have Derek Lively out. They have Maxi Kleber is out as well. So Kyler Kelly, the 7-footer played a little bit with the South Bay Lakers, now is with the Mavericks. He got his first bit of action in his debut, 8 minutes. Didn't do too much, but how exciting is this for that young man to finally be, on an NBA roster and getting his time to shine?
Very exciting because not only did he get his time to shine, but he got his first NBA points. That's always going to be a memorable moment. So at the free throw line, he went 1 for 2 and obviously didn't get a lot of time, but you mentioned some of the injuries that are on this Dallas Mavericks team. He will be able to get into the fold at some point a little bit, and I think it's a perfect spot for him. When you talk about call-ups from the G League, you want to make sure that you get to a place where it's situationally right. I think this could be a place as a 7-footer. Jason Kidd said there's not a lot of 7-footers out there, so we had to grab him.
Hey, and he's an athletic 7-footer, so it's exciting stuff for him. Congratulations to Kyler Kelly and his family. Guys, coming up after a short break, we were just talking about this dude. Guess what? Mac McClung is going to be talking with us on the show. We'll hear from him and see what we think about a three-peat potentially in his future. That's coming up after a short break.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
I'm Mac McClung with the Osceola Magic, and this is year 4 for me. Definitely the dunk contest, for sure. I lean into it, you know, that's something that's part of my life that I would be crazy not to appreciate or, you know, look at it in a negative way. So it's awesome that I got that opportunity and got that light to, you know, show my capabilities in that contest. Man, it felt good. It was almost like a relief, you know what I mean? It was, it's the first year I've started on two-way. I've been lucky enough to get a lot of call-ups and, you know, be up and down, but to start my season with the team meant a lot to me, and it was a really good feeling. Yeah, I think it's funny, you know, when you're not on two-way, you're trying to get a two-way, and then when you have one, you have that double-edged sort of a responsibility. You know, I feel, you know, wins and losses more, and, you know, my teammates' success even more when I'm here. I have a two-way. I want more, of course, but they're here, like, I have my two-way. It's time for me to put them in situations to get theirs. I think a lot of it is timing for me. I think I'm applying pressure each year. I think I'm growing each year, and I continue to grow as a point guard this year. I'm not worried about, you know, any points I get or any accolades. I really just want to show I can be that point guard for a team and run an offense. The importance of the G League is just, I think it's like a beautiful grind. Just, it's a development league for sure, but it's something so beautiful about, there's no league like it because everyone is so close to their dreams and you're with them every day and you get to be a part of a story. You get to be a part of someone's story, and I think that's the difference in the G League than anybody. It's like that hunger of everyone wanting more. Very stacked. It's cool. We have a lot of older guys on the team, you know, and I think with that comes a lot of understanding between each other. You know, when you're younger, you see things different than when it's your first couple years than it's when it's your 5 or 6 years in. People see things different, and I think that takes your ego. Egos kind of go down a lot as you get older, and you know, everybody understands we just want a championship and we want each other to succeed. I would say I want people to know that I'm still here and I am still applying pressure and I still believe in myself 100%. Whether that be in the G League or the NBA, I want to get better every day.
All right, great to hear from Mac McClung there. So, G, one question for you. So, I mean, this is a guy who obviously can make history going for a three-peat. We've never seen that done in a dunk contest before. Tell me, where's his mind at? Is he focused on that? What has conversations like been with him when it comes to the dunk contest?
I've talked with him a few times over this season in particular, and whenever I brought up the dunk contest, he didn't answer my question. He said, you know what, I'm focused on getting a standard deal. And so for me, it was a little surprising when I heard that he was going for a three-peat. I said, oh, he is doing it. So it must be of some importance to him, but I know at this point in his career, the accolades, all the things, he said what means the most is him getting a standard deal and him getting his team in the G League a championship. So he's going for chips and he's going for a standard contract. But, I mean, if you get a three-peat, it's not that bad if you had that on the list, right?
That's not a bad cherry on top. All right, guys, coming up after a short break, we got a really heartwarming story we can't wait to share with you. That's coming up next here on NBA G League Takeover.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
All right, well, welcome back to NBA G League Takeover. Mike Davis here with Gianna Hearn. Gianna, a very heartwarming story coming from Steve Hartman, one of the greatest journalists out there with CBS News. Steve Hartman going on the road. He goes to a place called Glassboro, New Jersey, Rowan University, actually very close to where I grew up in New Jersey. He did a story featuring a kid named Alan Wiley. This is a kid who's studying broadcast journalism at Rowan University, and part of what he's getting the opportunity to do is call G League games with the Delaware Bluecoats. the minor league team for the Philadelphia 76ers. And Alan Wiley is calling these games, doing a little bit of color commentary, but guess what? He's blind.
The buildup.
Incredible. I mean, it's an incredible story. You might ask how, why, all these types of questions. How is this possible? Steve Hartman asks all the right questions. He's talking to Neil Hartman, who's a professor at Rowan University, also was a sports fixture as a sports broadcast journalist in Philadelphia for a long time. So this is a kid, Alan Wiley, who's demonstrating a lot of promise. He has a great voice, a nice cadence to his voice, knows a lot about the game, but he's calling games as a color commentator, and he's blind. Gee, as somebody who does this for Mexico City, Capitanes, for G League games, you've done this with the Ignite much throughout your career. How striking of a story is this to you?
I mean, Wiley, it's pretty wild what you're doing out there. I don't even know, because I'm paying attention to games with both eyes, and I miss so many things.
Right.
So it's truly just very special what he's able to do. And, you know, from other blind people that I've spoken to, you have other senses. We know this. The senses work much differently. So he talked about in that story kind of how he does it, and he says, I listen a lot. Maybe we all should start listening more. I think that's what I might try in my next few games.
It is true. We all can be better listeners. We all can demonstrate a lot more listening ability and stuff. But from a senses standpoint, that is true. It's like they always talk about with Daredevil or superheroes and all this stuff. I mean, when you have an inability to use one of your senses, yes, your other senses become heightened and more aware. So it potentially that is the key here. If I wish we could talk to him, because I would have tons. It wouldn't be a 2-minute story for me. I would need about 10 minutes to 30 minutes with this kid, just asking all types of questions.
I mean, but hand out to the team, allowing him to do this, giving him the opportunity to showcase the world that even though you may not understand how he's doing it, he's still able, and he's doing it well. I mean, he's garnering a lot of attention for it. So I'll be interested to see how his story continues, where he goes next. And I think it's really going to be his knowledge. He talks about the amount of knowledge he knows. I think it's going to take him far.
I like it. Well, let's give a shout out definitely to the G League for giving a kid like this an opportunity, the platform, the opportunity to make this happen. So hats off to the G League for that. Guys, coming up after a short break, it's time for Gianna Hearn. Yes, she's going to give us her G of the week. It's a special social video you're not going to want to miss. That's coming up after a short break.
This is NBA G League Takeover, sponsored by Kumho Tire.
All right, welcome back to NBA G League Takeover here at the Den, Fox Side Studios. Mike Davis, Gianna Hearn. Gianna, G of the Week, one of our favorite things to showcase, highlight on the show. So let's give it up for you. Let's see what we got for G of the Week.
Well, the RGV Vipers, their head coach, Joseph Blair. You're our first coach that has gotten G of the Week because he daps up each one of his players with an individual dap up.
He's doing it even with mascots and other coaches. He's got to memorize handshakes with in that one social video. I mean, that's going kind of viral. I mean, how many? That must have been 20 people just in that one video?
I didn't count, but I will say that Thon Maker, that one could have been better because it was just kind of like a hug. So,
well, he had one person that was just like a double, like two, like I sometimes do that with producer James, just like a double hand, like a solid handshake. But Joseph Blair, interesting guy. So I love that in a coach. This is a guy, did a little research on him, played for the Harlem Globetrotters. He's also vegan. Veganism is a big part of his IG page. Do you have any thoughts on that? Have you ever met Joseph Blair?
Definitely met him. Amazing coach and guy. But I didn't know he was vegan.
Really?
I gotta ask him about that. Give me some tips. I want to try it out. It's 2025.
Most vegans tell you they're vegan, so I'm surprised he didn't tell you that when you met him. But anyway, Joseph Blair, I like your style, my man. That's if I get to meet you, we're gonna have our own handshake as well. Real quickly, before we leave you guys, some big news that we do have to mention came from Shams, 35-year-old. Former two-time All-Star Isaiah Thomas. We all remember him with the Celtics, the Suns, bunch of different teams. He has signed a deal for the G League with the Salt Lake City Stars. G, when you saw this news, what were you thinking there from him?
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised. He's been in the G League before, and he did this actually last year. He took 23 months away from basketball and then entered the G League last season, averaged 33 points, 25 three-pointers made. And then he got 2 10-day call-ups after that and remained on contract the rest of the season with the Suns. And that was into the beginning of March 2024. So I think this is a good deal for him. If he's looking, not if. We know he's trying to make it back to the NBA. So I think this is just his way. If he knows G League is the most direct path, now's the time for him to come back.
Right. So this is a guy he wouldn't choose to go overseas or make that buck because he already made that buck.
Yeah, he's done that. He's a 2-time All-Star. He's played over 10 years in the NBA. This is someone who knows exactly what he wants out of this. He wants an NBA standard deal. He wants to make it back there, and he's just coming in the G League, and he's going to light it up like he has every time he's been there. And he's also brought a lot of fans, so I'm with it. Welcome back, IT.
It's always good to have Isaiah Thomas in the league. Exciting stuff from him. So he's going to be playing with the Salt Lake City Stars. We'll see when he gets that potential call up. Real quickly, G, I want to make sure we get your official take. So you're going Mac McClung and I'm going Matas.
Am I going to regret it? Yes, I'm still going Mac McClung because he deserves it. The dude's an animal when it comes to dunks. But Matas, you're on the radar.
Matas, I still got your bobblehead on my desk, my man. I'm always in your corner. I love that, dude. Matas, I'm choosing you. You're going with Mac. We'll see you guys next time here on NBA G League Takeover.